it's me again. I'm back with what I thought would be fun to do would be just to capture my creating a second version of this mix for the band after they came back to me with a couple of quick revisions. What we've got then is a great response from the band. They really loved the first mix that I sent over to them, but they just had a couple of remarks that they'd like me to look at. And those are, they were really happy with the guitars, loved how the guitars sounded. All they want to hear is a little bit more kick drum and more of the backing vocals, the gang vocals in the choruses, to really reinforce that gang vocal feel. So that's what we're going to capture in this video. First things first then, I'm going to go up to the kick drum. Let's do that first. And let's take a listen to what we have in the mix right now. Okay, so it's present, it's there, but Paul, the guitarist, and Becky as well, both enjoy more kick. They like kick assertive tracks or kick assertive songs. So we'll give that to them. If we go back to the reference mix, that's going to give us a real idea on what they mean by assertive kick, because that can mean lots of different things. Do they want it louder? Or is it more the shape, the tonal shape of the kick that they want? They want to hear more of a clicky kick rather than a louder kick. So let's see if we can hear what it is that they actually want. So let's just switch over to the guide mix and see what that sounds like. So in the guide mix, the kick drum is much more, it's higher in the mix than even the snare. So let's see if we can adjust that mismatch then for them. First of all, it probably makes sense to see if a level boost is actually going to do this. I think it's going to be a bit of both actually. It's going to be probably a little bit more level and some more higher frequencies in the EQ. So as a reminder, this is what kick 1 sounds like. Kick 2. If we open up the EQ, I did pull back on with an 8K shelf on the high frequencies of kick 2, and I pulled back on about 4K on kick 2. So that's an area I could pull back. I could add more back in to get more of that click into the sound. Then on kick 1, I didn't do any cuts or boost in terms of high frequency for that point on the kick. All I did was put in a low pass filter there at 8 kilohertz. So that could have an effect. Did I do anything on kick 2? I did the same on kick 2 as well. So an 8K low pass filter. So I want to make these changes, but I want to do it whilst I'm listening to the mix. I also want to do it again because it's just how I like to work. I don't want to listen to the vocals whilst I do this, just want to listen to the instrumental mix. So if we go from verse 1 and let's start playing around with this EQ, see if we can get some click back into the kick. So that's definitely got more of that click back, but still feeling as though it might be a little bit quiet. In terms of compression, there's a little bit going on both of them. Kick 1 is the one that is blended the highest in the mix. I'm going to see if a little bit more compression is going to help that. So that's helped as well with that perception of the point of the kick drum, sharpened it up, made it more focused. So a little bit more compression on each, and that's really helped there. What I want to do now then, I'm just going to push the level a little bit on these kicks, see if that's really going to do it. But because we've got automation running on these kicks, I need to build in that volume bump by bringing up the automation line rather than just boosting the fader level, because the automation will just bring it back down again. So let's do that. So that was just bringing up both kicks by 1 dB. And I think that's really done the job. Let's just check actually by flicking between the first mix and this mix. So let's get this nice and big. This is the print of the first mix that I sent to the band. And I can just easily switch between the two by clicking this input button here on the track. So when it's in green, we're hearing the current mix, and when it is not in green, we're listening to the first version mix that we printed in the course. So let's go from verse 1. I'll play the version 1 mix and then I'll flick into input, and so we can hear the current mix and the changes we've made to the kick drum. I'll go from the start because there are no vocals at the start. Yeah, it's definitely crept up and is more audible in the mix now. Let's check it out with the vocals in and go from verse 1.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble, banned from the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood, smoking and drinking rush. Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble, banned from the youth club. Hurry, hurry, first love or first blood, smoking and drinking, rushing to...
Yeah, I think that's really helping because you can actually hear when you listen back to the first mix with the vocals in that the certain kick hits are being masked by the vocal. Certainly the top end, the higher end of the kick anyway. Let's listen to the reference. Now that we've brought the level of the kick drum up, that's going to have an impact on the level matching or the perceived loudness of the reference track. So I've just rematched the loudness so that they both are more comparable now to each other based on the loudness of the new mix.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood, smoking and drinking.
So I think we could still do a little bit more here with the kick, perhaps just going a little bit louder. We've also got the option of increasing any parallel compression that we have going on as well. The parallel compression is, though, being fed by the snare as well and the overheads. So what I could do is just push the send here into the parallel compressor. So let's see if that helps.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble, banned from the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood, smoking and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom. If I knew what I know now. Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight. Hurry, 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 black static.
Yes, that was definitely helping. The full 4 dB push into the parallel compressor was just a little bit too much, so I just backed it down again by another couple of dBs, and that seems to be working well for me, I think. So I'm just going to listen let's listen from chorus 2 into a solo, just so that we can get an idea of that kick is working throughout the entire mix.
Dressed in liners, a man out of trousers. If I knew what I know now, looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Yeah, definitely more audible now in the mix. So that's great. So I think we've done enough to the kick drum there. It's just now making me think, though, is it overshadowing the snare? So I think before I go down that rabbit hole, I think it'd be a good idea to listen in mono on a small speaker so that I can get a truer picture at low level of how that kick is sounding.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble. Banned from the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood. Smoking and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom. If I knew what I know now, looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight. Hurry, 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 black studded jacket, skull painted t-shirt, making a racket. Hurry, 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 no time to practice. Upset the neighbors back in the garage. Dressed in liners.
Yeah, on the small speaker and at low level, you really hear the transient, the top edge of the kick, the snare, and the vocals. So just wanted to pull back a little bit on that high frequency boost that we did to soften it off slightly, to bring it back more in line with the snare, and to make it feel just a little bit more back in the mix.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble. Banned from the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood. Smoking and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom.
And that little move there, just increasing the compression on the snare a little bit, has brought the kick and the snare closer together, and it doesn't feel overshadowed now by the kick drum.
Hurry, 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 kids on the school bus, always in trouble. Banned from the youth club. Hurry, 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 first love or first blood. Smoking and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming.
Okay, so I'm happy with that. Certainly happy enough to send this version to the band to get their approval and to get some feedback if they feel as though I've still not gone far enough or I've gone too far. Let's listen to these OOs then in the chorus.
Dreaming of freedom.
So what can we do to enhance those? If you recall, I did most of the processing for the backing vocals on the backing vocal bus, so very little in terms of the individual sections of the backing vocals and the tracks themselves. So all I'm going to do here is just try and increase the level of those OOs in the choruses to see if that works for us. So these are the tracks we're talking about, just increasing the level of for just the choruses and those OOs, the gang vocal feel. I'm going to stick listening to my small speaker at low levels for this.
King and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming. King and drinking, rushing to grow up. Dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom. If I...
Okay, what's happening there is I'm pushing the level and I'm not really hearing the level increase, and that's because all I'm doing here is just pushing more volume into the processing we've got on the bus. So that's the tape and any other compression that's going on. So the extra volume I'm pushing here with the fader is just getting soaked up. So I'm going to go back to the original level there because I don't want them to sound more crushed. I just want the overall volume of them to come up. So I am going to have to do this on the bus. Let's look at how hard these compressors are actually working and see if I can increase the gain at that stage. I'm going to play, I've just cycled through this final chorus because that's where they're going to be the loudest. And let's look at what these plugins are doing. Okay, so the compressors aren't working overly hard. The only one that is really working very hard is the tape. So I think what I might do is just pull back a little bit going into the tape so that the vocals sound a little bit more open, and then look at pushing the output. So by pulling back the input, I've dropped the level now of all the backing vocals. So now I need to bring that back up. Now let's see what effect that's had on the multiband and the compressors following the tape machine. So they are, as you would expect, working a little bit harder again now. So taken out of the circuit on the SSL channel strip, the dynamics, so there's no compression happening there anymore. I'm going to relax the compression here at this point on the LA2A now. Yeah, that feels a bit better. It was kind of heading over 1 dB of gain reduction there, so I just pulled that back to relax that a bit. So let's refer to the guide mix, see how loud they are there. So they're still a little bit louder in the guide mix. So let's push the overall gain then of the backing vocals on the bus. Again, there's no volume automation here, so we can just increase the fader level. Check, make sure we've actually made a difference there. Let's check with the same position in the version 1 mix. Yeah, definitely made a difference. And then one last check with the guide mix. Yep, now I want to go back to listening to normal levels on the main monitors here. So I can do a final check across those vocals. I feel as though that these are a little bit quiet now. So I'm just going to give those a little bit of a volume bump. Yeah. Yeah, think about giving those a little bit of a bump as well, seeing as though we're at it. Yeah, they feel good. So let's check the first instance of them.
Rushing to grow up, dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom. If I knew what I know now, looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Okay, that's feeling really good. I'm going to have one final check with the reference, just to be on the safe side.
Never first blood, smoking and drinking, rushing to grow up, dreaming of freedom, freedom, back in your bedroom. Drinking, rushing to grow up, dreaming of freedom, dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom. If I keep back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision. Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight. Hurry, 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 black studded jacket, skull painted t-shirt, making a racket.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I'm going to print this now, version 2, send it to the band, see if they have any more comments, any more feedback suggestions, and then we're going to take it from there. So one thing I don't think I captured in the original course, and that was when I was listening through to the mix, as it was going down and when I was printing it the first time, I just felt as though the bridge vocal needed a different texture, a different effect, a different feel. So what I did was I applied a simple telephone tone to that one vocal. I think I just did it with EQ. So the thing I'm talking about is this.
20/20 vision with hindsight. Hurry, hurry. You better worry. Hurry, hurry.
So I just felt as though that it just needed to feel completely different to everything else. We'd already done the delay throws on the outgoing vocal, which is the same phrase that's being sung here, but I just felt it just needed a little bit of something extra. So we're talking about this track here, which is the verse vocal, and it's just this section. And what I did was I just cut this region out, as you can see, and using Audio Suite in Pro Tools, I just applied a telephone effect, which is in FabFilter Pro Q3, and you can find it. It's just called Phone, and that's it. It's a preset in the Pro Q3, and I just processed that, or processed the audio in that clip, rendered this into that clip using Audio Suite, and it came out with that effect, and I think it sounds really great. So I'll just solo it for you.
Hurry, hurry. You better worry. Hurry, hurry.
So it's really simple, but it's just thinking about these little extra things, these little bits and pieces you can do to change the texture, to change the mood, to make songs just sound a little bit more interesting. And that only became apparent to me as I was listening to the mix going down, printing the mix in real time, which is something I do. I never bounce out a mix unless I was under a real tight time constraint or something. But this is one of the main reasons I like to listen to the mix going down in real time, because you just hear things that you haven't heard in the hours preceding as you've been working through the mix on every individual item. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that little insight into the bridge vocals. So I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into just running through some revisions for a band and the things to listen to, how to check that your revisions are what the band actually want, and remembering to check that reference mix. It's so important. Okay, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.